Before we start talking to Bobby, I just want to let you guys know this is going to be about a 50-minute video. It's a long video. I don't want to beg you, but I highly recommend you watch it from start to finish. You don't have to sit down in one sitting and watch it. Maybe break it up, maybe watch it in 2 sittings, whatever. But you've really got to watch the video from start to finish. We're talking to one of the greatest of all time that have ever fished the Delta. Over 100 tournament victories. He was out here guiding for 20 years. When he was guiding, it was 200 to 250 days a year. There is nobody that knows the Delta better than Bobby Barrack, and there is no one that knows how to win tournaments better than Bobby Barrack. With that being said, Bobby is an extremely passionate angler. He's dedicated and he is intense. I am not a professional interviewer. Bobby and I are going to jump around in this video a little bit, but along with Bobby being one of the best anglers, he's also one of the biggest personalities that you will ever meet. So this is a genuine opportunity to listen to a Delta treasure. And believe me, especially for you young guys that are trying to get into tournament angling and you wanna make it to that level that Bobby was once at, watch this video, and after watching Bobby for 15 minutes, you're gonna know Bobby, you're gonna know how intense he is, you're gonna know what it takes to win tournaments, and when you go out on your very next trip, you're gonna be looking at your fishing in a whole different light. So without further ado, Bobby Barrack. Everyone, thanks for joining me. Thanks for tuning in. Today I've got a very special guest, Mr. Bobby Barrack. Bobby, thanks for joining me.
I love you, man.
I know you do. I know you do. And I just wanted to say, there's a lot of people that throw around the word legend out here, and I very seldom use that word. I can count the legends of the Delta on one hand. Bobby, you're one of them. And yeah, you can pay me after, but
big check, big check.
There's a lot of people, and I'll tell you, having the YouTube channel, I get to talk to a lot of people, and there's still a lot of people that remember you from guiding out here, and they'll say, yeah, I fished with Bobby, and he was a great teacher, so on and so forth, and it's amazing that. You've been out in Texas for what, 10 years? Close to 10 years now?
Yeah, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. Yeah.
But anyhow, for those of you who don't know Bobby, he spent 20, 25 years here on the Delta, one of the best tournament anglers that the Delta has ever seen. And I believe I never got a chance to fish with you when you were guiding, but from what everybody says, you were a decent guide.
Decent?
Yeah.
Man, I took so much pride in every single day. I knew what I was always up against. When you're a guide, I'm up against this guy's greatest day that he's ever had. A lot of my clients, and I know a lot of your clients, probably spent time in Lake Bareric, Lake Guerrero, Mexico, all that kind of stuff. Florida, Okeechobee, Roland Martin, balloons, big shiners. Hey, I'm going out with this guy. He's supposed to be really good on the Delta. We're gonna be catching so many 4 to 7 pounders all day long. Mm-hmm. You just can't meet those expectations. Well, sometimes you get close.
Yeah, and I think you probably met those expectations more than 99.9% of the guys out here. But that's in the past. We're talking about, you wanted to talk about frog fishing, and let's follow this format. I want you to explain, you're coming out to the Delta on any given day, what you look for, what is your perfect day of being out here as far as the weather, circumstances, what you're looking for, and what would be the perfect day. Then we'll go into talking about some of the baits, the frogs that you're throwing. We'll get an idea of what you're looking for, some of the frogs you're throwing, and then you can talk about when you go out, and now you're out there, you know where you're at, you're in the right spot, you've got the right baits, the techniques, and things like that. So, number one, Bobby, you're coming out, let's say you're going out tomorrow. What would be your perfect situation as far as wind, water temperatures, all that stuff? What are you looking for?
Wow, that's we can break it. When you were doing your intro, I feel like, and we talked about this a little bit before the camera started. I feel like at this point in time, I love the educational part of this. That's why I just love what you're doing. You're educating guys, trying to get guys to cut their learning time in half by 40%, 60%, whatever it is. And I feel like at this point in time, with what I try to do, is I would rather be known as a guy, as a man of faith, than a good or great tournament angler. And so that being said, I feel like I've got this like calling to try and help guys understand that there's a pecking order I think that you need to live by, faith, family, and fishing. And I think that if you can keep it like that, faith, family, and fishing, then you will have full live wells a lot. Because if it's not in that order, then you got a lot of crud running around up here. I should be doing this. I should be spending more time with the wife. I should be spending more time with the kids. Faith, family, and fishing. You keep that order like that, and you keep this clean, and then all the Steve Cooper videos and all that kind of stuff, you'll be able to process them more. Your concentration will be better. And I would at this point, I would love to be more known for helping folks understand and get their priorities right up here, so that they can have a more prosperous time on the water and a more prosperous family life at home. If that's working at home, you're going to be a much better fisherman. You're going to be much better at work. You're going to be much better, period, for society. So I think it's a big, big deal. Anyway, I know that's a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to share that.
And just to follow that up, you're educating people now. When Bobby was winning all these tournaments, how many tournaments did you win out here?
I sat down, me and Chris Ball sat down one day, and I think we counted, I won 113 tournaments here.
Okay.
And I don't know how many seconds, thirds, top fives, top tens, a lot, big number. And when you, I was going to say, when you win a lot, you lose a lot. And when you win, it's woohoo, and when you lose, it's airplane into the runway, big mushroom cloud.
When you were winning these 113 tournaments, and I don't know how many boats and seconds and thirds and blah, 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 Bobby was not giving away a whole lot of information. So, and I can remember, you don't know me. I was running around, crawling around the guy that you saw behind the boat, kind of looking up there, kind of looking on your deck, seeing
Sure.
what you had. You weren't giving away a lot of information. So for those of you younger fellas out there, this is a special treat when Bobby starts talking about giving up the juice on what's happening. So your perfect day coming out tomorrow.
Okay, so the perfect frog. Okay, so I can't choose the frog day, but let's just choose what we have right now. We're in the middle of the Snag Proof Open. These guys are going out today. I believe high tide today is somewhere around 1 o'clock. Let's just use the track. So high tide somewhere around 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. The guys left at 11. They have to start weighing in at 6. So we got 6 hours to deal with this here. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not in a real hurry to get to where I'm going to be fishing. Number one, I am not going to try and fish this whole place in a 6-hour period. I'm going to pick and choose an area, and I'm going to stay within, preferably between 1.5 miles in circumference.
So you're not trying to run somewhere to find a tide and then run back?
I'm going to stay within a mile of where I ran to. If I go to Mildred, I'm going to stay between Mildred, the south part, maybe a little bit towards Whiskey. That's where I'm going to fish. If I'm going to go down south, I'm going to be in Middle River. I'm going to be in Old River. I'm not going to be in Middle and Old River in the same day. Not going to happen. I'm going to stay in one of those, and I'm going to milk this thing. It's a 6-hour deal. Take away 2 hours of run time. Take away an hour and a half of run time. So I got 4.5 hours to fish. You cannot catch 4-pounders if your prop is going 5,800. You can't.
Okay, and I get what you're saying. There's a couple guys that won, I believe, this tournament or a big tournament a couple years ago. They had the same situation. They had some fish. They had some good water. They went to that area and they did not fish it. They wanted to be on the area when the tide was right, and they didn't want to throw a bunch of frogs over there.
Absolutely.
So that's what I wanted to get at. When you find that place, do you get in there and pull your boat in to make sure other people aren't going to come encroach in your area without fishing? And then when you think it's right, do you fish, or do you start fishing there at any tide, or do you wait for the tide and then start fishing?
If it's a premeditated thing where I'm going to go fish that area, I'm not I'm not touching that area for a week.
You don't want them to see it.
I don't
frog.
want them to hear my trolling motor. I don't want to poop. I don't want to. They've got all the furniture in the house is the way that they expect it. I'm not going to wreck that. It's going to be a surprise when I show up here tomorrow and I start to throw cheeseburgers onto the kitchen table.
Okay.
And they're good. They love cheeseburgers, and there's a kitchen table, and I'm going to throw that cheeseburger right over there.
Are you worried somebody coming in there when you're not fishing and throwing their own cheeseburgers?
I'm not.
You're just going to be better than that guy. You're going to do it right.
And that's kind of the, hey man, I don't want to say arrogance. I don't want to say, it's confidence. And this game, everybody said, oh man, you got to be confident. Yeah, you do. It's all right here. This whole game, Gary Dobbins told me years ago, back in the early 90s, hey dude, this is all about making good decisions and executing your decisions. And never a truer statement. And when he said that, I said, that just makes a whole lot of sense. Position yourself. You got the right rods, you got the right line. Preferably you got a Bobby's Perfect Frog Rod from iRod. The Quirkus with the cork handle. But you got your rod, you got the rod right, you got the line right, you got everything, fresh knots on everything. I pre-fished yesterday, it's braid, I don't have to retie. Yes, you do. Because that's the one that's going to break off. You're going to get that. We got 9 more casts left before we got to go. We got to be back to Russo's at 6. We have to be back to Russo's at 7. It takes me 18 minutes back. And I'm going to make this one more throw, twist. Ooh, she eats it, swing, pow! Sounds like somebody just shot a 22. That's on you. Set yourself up. You're fishing for the moment. And when that moment happens, you better be, shoelaces are tied. You're a sports guy. Everything's tied. Everything's right. My jersey's tucked in. I'm looking good. I feel good. And everything's right. I'm not going to trip on my shoelaces. It's a muddy field. I got 1/2-inch cleats instead of 1/4-inch. I'm right. I'm good. Everything's laced up. My socks are right. I feel good. I feel good about everything I'm doing. I'm prepared for that moment. I'm going across the middle. We're going to call it 18-yard post. We need 16 for the first down. Cornerback, I give him a little juke. He falls on his butt. I'm wide open across the middle. We're looking for the first down. He falls. Free safety. I juke him. I'm in the end zone. We're doing high fives and all that kind of stuff.
It's that easy?
It's that easy. If you're prepared for that moment. If you have that situation, you got 1/4-inch cleats instead of 5/8 or 1/2-inch, and you do the little juke and you fall down, and the quarterback throws the ball, the cornerback steps in front of it, and he takes it the other way for 6. You were not prepared for that moment. You just broke off a 6 or 7 pounder. You could see the finish line. You had victory in your class, but because you weren't prepared for that moment, you knew that the forecast is for rain tomorrow night. I didn't set myself up, especially with your wheels, man. That's where it starts, right? Your shoulders ain't right, and if your feet ain't right. Anyway, and that fishing, it's the same thing. Prep for the moment. Have the right stuff. And when it happens, you're ready for it. Because these fish do not do redos.
So you're coming out, you've got your spot, you're set up. I'm taking 65-pound braid, is it straight braid? Is that what you're using, 60, 80?
Usually what I do, all my rods with 65 are green, all my rods with 80 are black. That's what I do.
Okay, you do go to 80.
I do. 80, if I'm around wood, it's 80. Because willow trees, any of the hardwoods, cypress trees, you get that frog in that bark a couple of times, and that 8-strand, if it just clips, damages one of those strands, you're going to get that good fish that eats. You're going to set, and it's pow. You're going to hear that.
How often do you change your braid?
I change my braid when it gets low on the spool. Because I like 30 inches on the average. You wind it back per rev. You pull in almost a yard of line per revolution. If my spool is already down 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, and I make a 27-yard throw, now I'm only pulling in maybe 23, 24 inches. And if I get a hot 5-pounder, I got a hot 4.5, I get a hot 7. And I throw that thing up into 9 inches of water, twitch, I see her wake over to it, walk it a little bit, stop, and she goes, ooh, she eats it. I swing, especially when they're that deep. They are going to go from there to there, literally in the blink of an eye. And the only way that this fish comes off, when I swing, I'm candy cane, I'm good. And if my spool is too low and I can't bring in 30+ inches of line, I may, as she's coming across, I'm losing the arc, I'm losing the hook point pressure, and she jumps about right here. and my line is loose, and the hooks come off, and oh, you gotta be kidding me. This frog sucks, the rod sucks, everything sucks, but no, your prep sucks.
So your fight on these fish, and this is very important because, man, in the Delta, everybody talks about hooking giant fish and losing them. And part of that is the rod, part of it is technique, but when you have that fish come up and you set hook on them, your fight is a toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano. You're not letting that fish turn his head. You're bringing him right over whatever it has to come through, whether it's wood or vegetation. You're just really putting the pressure on there. Is that right?
When she wraps her lips around it, I own that fish. This place got a lot of big ones. Mm-hmm. And a lot of big ones that live that deep, that eat that deep. And again, prep for the moment. I am prepared. Yeah. My old school Bobby's Perfect Frog Rod from Falcon, 7'10", lot stouter. Not the greatest open water frog rod. I should have won a National Guard tournament, but I lose a mid-teener because I'm overpowered. I've only got like 12, 18 minutes left to fish. I know I'm gonna get this bite. I just need that water to work with me. I got an early weigh-in, doggone it. And I got my frog rod, and I'm using a Sparrow Bobby's Perfect Frog. I'm waiting. I told my guy, I said, when this happens, when I throw at the end of those, there's like 9 little tulies on the end of this little tule point, and I just need the grass, the Eladia that's around it. I just need that grass, because that Eladia has been sitting like this for about, realistically, for about 4 hours. I just need that Eladia to do this.
Turn around in the tide.
I just need it to start doing this right here. I am not talking earlier about guys staying away from. Don't expose. Don't show your hand until it's necessary. I'm waiting for the planets to line up. I fiddle around. I know the clock is ticking. Come on, man. I need that water to start moving. I'm watching that tule point right there that's adjacent to it, waiting for those weeds to just start to move. I need that water. Come on, Frank's track. I need that water to start pushing. Come on, Fisherman's Cut. Come on, work with me here. I need Washington Cut. I need connection to start moving. And then it did that. And I watched that last tule start doing this. I went trolling motor on high, went right over there, and I told my guy, I go, here we go. He goes, I'm ready. He dropped his rod, grabbed the net. I threw over there, let it sit, walk. Tulies went like this. I go, oh, here we go. Now I see the silhouette of her sitting underneath it. Oh my gosh. I bobbed the nose. No walking, no nothing. Bobbed the nose, and she goes, ooh, like that. And I go, I light this fish up. She is that deep. And when I hit that fish, I moved that fish probably 2 yards. And when she hit the water again, now I've really got this thing. I have woken up a green bolt of lightning that is about, you could have put a saddle on this fish and rode this thing. I hit this fish, she's coming at me 100, and she leaves the water, and I watch my frog go, phew. Why does that fish come off? It's a premeditated thing. I know I'm gonna get this bite. I really didn't think that she was that was a mid-teener. I've caught 6 or 7, I've got my hands on 6 in the teens up to 1470. I know what teen fish look like. I know what 10-pounders look like. Lots of them. And this one comes off because of the equipment. I was not prepared. If I have my frog rod that I have right now, my 794 frog rod from iRod, I make $125,000.
More of a parabolic bin?
That rod's got this. It's not a fast action candy cane rod. It's got this. And when you pick that rod up, you'll be like, man, this is a frog rod? Really?
So it keeps it pinned.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to move that fish.
Right.
I don't want to swing on a 3 to 6 pounder, a 3 to 9 pounder, a 3 to 15 pounder, and move that fish when I get to about right here. I do not want to move that fish. I want to wake that fish up, but I want the whole key to me catching that fish and getting that fish in my hands and in the live well is the candy cane. I've got to keep, if I maintain this, that fish is mine.
And it's a shock absorber for you then.
Especially my rod. Okay. You will, if you watch my videos, especially the 4 to 9 pound bass that I catch on my frog, watch how quick they succumb to me. Mm-hmm. Watch how quick it's over.
We talked about getting out there. You've got the right rod. We talked about how these fish come up, being ready for them. Talk about some of these baits, and I want to know how many, when you're fishing frogs and you're just out, say you're out here today, one bait, a plastic frog, how many different rods will you have on board with different plastic frogs? And by the way, with the way you're fishing these things, these things have to have a pretty stout hook on them. You're not modifying these with hooks.
I'm taking it out of the package and I'm throwing it.
You're not bending the hooks out. You're not doing anything to modify this. Because a lot of people, every person I talk to has a modification that they want to talk about, whether it's bending hooks or adding weights or colors or whatever. What's your deal?
Please do not ever take, if you take needle nose pliers to a hook on a frog, that's yours. If me and you are fishing tournaments together, we don't ever do that. We take the frog, we take some scissors and we cut the frog off and we discard the frog. Or we'll put, Spear Point has an amazing hook. It's the Croaker Choker frog hook. Take that stock hook off that you have bent with needle nose because you got snagged and you pulled on it too hard and you opened up a hook, or you bent it trying to get the hook out of a fish. Don't ever open your hooks up. Don't ever do it. Just please don't.
I got to throw all my frog hooks away now?
Oh, don't do it.
Oh,
Look,
man.
this is the deal. It's like
criminies.
because it's just a matter of time before you have the 6-pound plus fish that wraps her lips on that hook that you have tweaked, and you have destroyed the integrity of that hook as soon as you've bent it. You've messed up the integrity of that. It's been messed up twice. It got bent once. That was not good. The molecular structure of this hook has been damaged. And now you're going to tweak it back or open it up even more because you had a fish that was not hungry, that was just pushing something away. She was just in a negative mood because she went over to your frog and went, and took and maybe ate the tassels and pulled it down, and you have no chance of catching that fish. Period. She never had the hooks in her mouth. She grabbed the tassels, she pulled it down. Oh, dude, I got to open my hooks. I need to put treble hooks on. Don't do that. Please, don't do that.
Okay. Right out of the box, guys.
Just take it out of the box, tie it on, and throw it. This bank right here. Let's say it's in
right outside of Russo.
Let's say it's in disappointment. Let's say this bank right here.
Okay.
Okay. This is where on Steve's favorite spot in the California Delta. And we're going to go fish it today. And it's got some Elodea on it. It's got some cladophora, which is the green snot, the green moss that sits on top of it. Very little, because I know they spray and all that kind of stuff these days. Let's say we've got this cool little place, or it's duckweed, or it's whatever. It's this floating vegetation, or it's giant salvania. Who cares? It's that. There's a rock wall behind it. The water's coming up. I see water. I see gray rocks. I see water. I see gray rocks. It is 11 o'clock when we leave. I see water. I see gray rocks. I see water. I see gray rocks. I see grass. I see cladophora. I'm not messing with that yet. I'm going to roll over here and start going down this bank. High tide's at about 1 o'clock. I'm going to start rolling over this at about 12:30. I'm going to roll on this about 12:30, and I'm going to kind of take my time. And I'm just going to throw and I'm going to drag. I'm going to throw and I'm going to drag. I'm going to throw and I'm going to drag slowly. And the bait that I'm using is the Zoo Kick. We don't have any of them because they're sold out. With my frog rod and the Zoo Kick, we can't keep them in any
So you're talking about high tide. You're seeing
we're dealing with right now what's going on today.
Some of you may have missed that when Bobby's talking about you're seeing white rocks or gray rocks.
Gray rock.
And then,
and water. Gray rock.
That's
going to change here in a second.
Yeah, we're waiting for that tide to start going down. Then you're going to see white rock, and then you're going to see brown or dark rock, and then you're going to see water. So keep that in mind as Bobby's telling his story here, because I think sometimes somebody that may not fish a lot may think, well, I see rock and I see bank, but colors are, when you're watching that tide go up and down, the color of the bank changes. So just keep that in mind.
Absolutely. I thank you for teeing that up. That's perfect. So we got this situation. We blast off from here 11 o'clock. We're not in a real hurry. Maybe we even stop and have lunch real quick because we don't really have to be anywhere right now. But I do want to be someplace at 12:30. So we're going to finish lunch up. We're going to get in the boat 12:15 again. And then we're going to take a ride over to this Steve's little bank right here. Steve, through the years, Steve has found that there are a fair amount of 3 to 5 6-pound bass that frequent this little section right here. He's caught some great quality through here. Matter of fact, a couple times he's caught some 8+s on this bank. Okay, great.
Not me.
So,
not me.
So we're over here. We got high tide around 1 o'clock. So we get here about 12:30 and we start throwing. And again, I'm using the Zoo Kick. And because it's a tournament, I am throwing Tweety. It's got a yellow head and a black body. I've made so much money on that because I have the confidence in that, okay? That's what I'm throwing. My partner's probably going to be throwing a black one, or he's going to be throwing the purple burst. We'll get into that later. Whole different deal. Or maybe even white. We want to have some contrast here. What are these guys clued into? What are these guys triggered? Or if I know because I was here and I saw that there are some bluegills on that lane where the rocks hit the weeds, and as the tide grows, as the tide comes up, that gap in between the rocks and the inside weed line kind of expands a little bit. And because I was here maybe a week ago, whatever, I saw, or I walked the levee. I used to do that a lot. Park the boat, get up, walk the levee, see what's going on. I noticed that there were some bluegill beds right there at that, right there, and I saw a real presence of nice bluegill, almost a hand size. If that's the case, then I'm going to throw a frog that's got, my partner's going to be throwing a frog with a little bit of orange right here, okay? That's our shad pattern that we have. Or I would be throwing the Bobby's Perfect bluegill pattern. Or the vapor, black or bluegill. Black, bluegill, or white in this situation. 12:30, 1 o'clock. At somewhere between 12:30 and 1:15, that moss is going to do this once, twice, maybe 3 times. And maybe that fish blows a hole in it the size of a softball or the size, preferably, of 2 or 3 basketballs. They just gave me the address of the house. I'm on the right street. They just gave me the absolute house number, okay? I had some movement. Maybe one of them just got triggered because they are bass, something moving, they're attainable, they're in that mood. Somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock.
And that's when the tide is going down.
Now, yes. I see gray rock, water. Gray rock, water. Still, that's why I'm fishing that zoo kick the way I am. I'm just dragging it about this tempo right here. I'm just looking for movement. I'm trying to get somebody interested. I'm throwing in a very key stretch. I'm here for a specific reason. And then once I get to about 1:15, and by 1:45, my gray rocks are going to have a black strip right through. And we ain't got no wakeboard boats. We ain't got no jet skiers. We ain't got no boat traffic going through here to mess this up. You're going to notice that there is going to be gray rocks and then water, but in between the gray rocks and the water, you're going to start to see this black line up here. This dark line. And as that dark line grows, those ones that you noticed, dude, we need to hustle back over there. We had 2 of them move on it back there. As that black line starts to grow and it gets to about right there, I'm going to troll the motor on high, around looper. I'm not going to start my outboard up here. Oh no. Troll the motor on high, I'm going to come back over, and now I'm going to throw specifically to those spots, to those areas. I got the right rod, I got the right frog, I got the right line, I'm in the right place. For this moment, for these moments, I'm not doing the real thing anymore. I'm throwing at specific spots where I saw that movement, throw, sit, bob the nose. A lot of times if she's there, that's when, as soon as you throw, stop, bob, ooh, you will see them blow holes like this or like that.
So you're waiting to put it in layman's terms, you're finding where they're giving up their location. You know they're in a closet. They're unlocking the door and coming out of that closet, and you're waiting. You know that when that tide is high, no tide movement, that fish is not going to take your bait. But as soon as you see that black and you know that the tide is moving down, the first part of that high outgo tide, that's when you want to go back and run through there. And you know, we talked. I was going to tell you I had some questions, but I need to ask you these questions now. 2 things. You talked about a little bit about colors and stuff, and you're fishing a frog. 2 questions. Number 1, when these fish are taking that frog, do you believe they are always eating it as it was a frog, or could that thing be a mouse? Could it be a bluegill that's on top of the water? Could it be something other than frog? Is it because this looks like a frog and they're thinking there's a frog, I want to eat it, or it's this thing will fit in my mouth, it's coming off the bank. I don't care if it's a frog, a bluegill, or a crayfish. And when I ask you that question, it leads back to colors, because you're using black and white, which is pretty standard for a lot of folks. And after you get out of that black and white scenario, is there any time where you throw a craw-colored frog, or do you think that matters?
I don't. Then we start to become bass fishermen overthinking things.
Okay.
So I try to, I'm a dumb redneck, so I like to try and keep things as simple as I possibly can, but even though a lot of it gets pretty complex, but let's simplify things. Before I knew what a frog was, I would take a little 16th ounce sinker and I would put a black lizard on the back of it and I would drag it across that stuff. And they would blow through it. I would get 10 bites and I'd catch one, maybe. I'd lose them all because I was doing it with like 14-pound yellow strand. It was a joke. It was a disaster. When they're doing that, especially in the northern delta or the southern delta, you could take a G.I. Joe or a Barbie doll and put some hooks on it and get those fish to eat that
So
thing.
they're stone cold killers.
I think, yes. I think that there is, who knows what, I think it's probably less than 10 minutes, that you can catch the biggest fish in any body of water, any lake. If you could get a lure to that fish, a topwater lure, a Barbie doll with hooks to that 17-pound bass that's in Disappointment Slough or Guerrero, wherever you throw that Barbie doll with hooks, when that fish is in the mood and that fish is in less than 16 inches of water, you can get her to eat anything. There's 10 minutes during the day. 20. What do you do the other 23 hours and 50 minutes? That's the whole trick. But I think that they just lose their mind for a period of time, especially when they're in that zone, they're in that mood, and I think that they will eat anything and everything that fits in their mouth. It's that time leading up to that. It's that time on the backside of that where maybe color, presentation, what it looks like, and all that kind of stuff maybe becomes a little more specific. We can't get that specific with our fishing. I'm just going to try and get somewhat generic with my choice to cover that whole spectrum of that window.
Okay.
So I think that the frog, especially the wobbletron, the zoo kick, we're out back here on the Delta, it's the wobbletron. Now I'm in Texas, it's the kick. When I was here, we don't have it, they're sold out. I really wanted to bring one over here. It's the greatest frog. Get one zoo kick. Just get a black one. Get a Tweety.
And that's the one that has the legs that are kicking.
It's got the feet on it. It's got the paddle feet on it. That frog, I beg you to just, I would love to be able to give everybody one, because I give you one, you'll go out there and you'll play with it a little bit and you go, oh, I got to have some more of those. And snag-proof stock would go through the roof. But it's the greatest frog. It's the greatest silhouette. It's the greatest sound. You can throw it out. You can paddle it back.
That's what, the zoo kick that will be coming out. That's another thing I wanted to ask you is the speed of the retrieve. And with this, compared to a skirted bait with the kicker legs on it, talk about the speed and how you fish them. You talked about throwing this bait out in up against the bank and letting it sit and then twitching it. With this newer style frog with the kicker legs, are you able to fish that faster to cover more water? Is that why they put the kicker legs on, or is it a twitch and stop, or do you want to reel that one?
That's a perfect question. We're talking about tempo and all that kind of stuff. In this scenario, there's 1,000 different frog scenarios. We just went through one of them. Mm-hmm. There's lots of different ways. Shade, overhanging trees, cypress trees, standing isolated trees by themselves. A flat that's got average depth is 18 inches, but over there it's 30 inches. That's that's a 40-something% increase in depth. That's where they're going to be relating to, but they may feed over here, they will stage over here. Anyway, in those situations, leading up to this point right here, we're at that 1 o'clock, from 1 to 3 o'clock, some really cool stuff is going to happen.
That's on the outgoing tide.
As soon as things start to move out. So what do we do before then? Well, that's when you can play around with some of this other stuff, because bass are bass. I'm not saying that period of time is the only time that you can catch a fish. It's not. Fish can be triggered at other points in time. There's different scenarios. The shade, waiting for the sun. The sun's going this way, so the shade's this way. We're going to do shade. We don't know where these fish. It's all 20 inches deep on this wood. The tide's still dropping out. One of the great ways to just fish a frog leading up to these situations where you know that you need that water to be high, I need it to be going out before I can do my big damage with 4-pound plus fish. That's what I'm fishing for here. Other guys that maybe don't know this, they're going to notice a spike in activity, and those guys that were throwing their frogs over there, in that same period of time that were just covering a lot of water, that guy's got 1 4-pounder, that guy's got 1 6-pounder, that guy's got 2 4s. because you are very specific on a very key, and you're fishing with discipline and with supreme confidence in what you're doing. You have 3 for 15. They have 3 for 8, 3 for 9. He's got 3 for 12 with a 6 because he was just covering lots of water. In that same window, guys are gonna catch them all over the place. Mm-hmm. You are fishing to win in that type of, and if you have 2 sections like that in a 1 mile radius, now you're extremely dangerous. And one of the great misconceptions is, I'm gonna fish the tide. I'm gonna whatever. When they eat in Snodgrass, they eat in Tracy, they eat in Stockton, they eat in Big Break, they eat in Sherman Lake. They all eat it. It's called a salooner window. And when the salooner window opens and you capitalize on it and you do really good with it, or you do really bad with it, if you do really bad with it and you get the bites and you lose them, you're fishing for minimal bites here. If you lose one of those fish, you're gonna weigh 2 for 11. Dude, if we have the third one, we're leading this thing by a mile. That's fishing to win. Most guys can't keep it together like this to fish to win. So there's very few guys that can handle that. There's probably 12, 18 teams in this tournament that can handle that that are going to try to do that. It's going to work out for a couple of them. A lot of them are going to lose them, breaking line, whatever. Maybe they opened up their hooks.
Wrong rod.
They messed up using the wrong rod. Too much juice. You can't. The thing you don't want is do not want your frog rod to be too overpowering. If you just go back to the chatterbait when it first came out, throw the chatterbait out there, wind, rod tip stops. They just don't bite a chatterbait. It's just the blade stops, the line goes slack. They just eat it so good and so clean. When you set the hook on them, most guys are throwing it with a pretty stout rod for the most part, maybe a fast action type of a rod. That's that 4-pounder, that 5-pounder, that 7-pounder jumps that high out of the water. There goes your chatterbait, and there goes the 7-pounder. Oh, man, I need a stouter rod. We're bass fishermen. We want bigger, stronger. 10-inch power worm. You throw it over there with a 4 or 5. We used to throw the 10-inch Berkeley power worm a lot. Sparse toolies, February, high outgoing tide. Always drag it. Furthest toolies out. Great info here. Throw it out there. Furthest toolies off the bank. Furthest toolies off that island. Right on the high switch. Just as the water starts to move, that last toolie starts to do this. 10-inch power worm with the 16th-ounce sinker. 15-pound big game. We used to do that with a 5-aught Gamakatsu EWG hook. After I lost a bunch of 5 to 10-pounders on that, finally realized that bigger wasn't. I started with a 4-aught, went to 5-aught, went to a 6-aught, still lost them. They get in the toolies, and I just, no, the toolies are shaking like that. And by the time I get over there, that hook just strips that toolie all the way up. My bass is gone. That was a giant, dude.
Yeah.
So what did I do? 10-inch power worm, greatest thing. 10-inch power worm, 16th-ounce sinker, and a 2-aught EWG. Small.
Because I've done that same thing.
You go the other way.
Yeah.
And chatterbait, same thing. My chatterbait rod, I throw it with Bobby's Perfect Frog Rod. I love because I don't whack them. I reel set, wind. That rod it's just perfect for a chatterbait too.
And you talked about, and I just want to go over this one thing for everybody listening. When you talked about when you're
so much to talk about.
Yeah, when you're catching fish here in Frank's Track, it's a salooner deal or whatever it is. When I started doing YouTube, I get a lot of reports. I'm doing the Delta report, so everybody's sending me reports, more and more and more and more. And so I get to kind of get a feel of what's going on. And I'd say about a year into my report phase, I would have a day where I do well. And again, it's one of these 20-minute deals. Maybe I got a 20-pound bag. Maybe I get lucky and get a 25-pound bag. And I think I'm great. And as I go home and I'm puffing my chest out, I start getting these reports, and 2, 3, 4 days later, man, I had a great day, blah, 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 blah. So I started asking, what day was that you were out? And then they'll say, well, it was Tuesday. What time was that you were out? And where were you at? And most of these guys will give that information. I don't ask for specifics, just, what day you were out, maybe times, tides. And almost to a T in that week where I was out on Tuesday and I had my great fishing, and I went for 3 hours without getting a bite. I did my damage in 20 minutes, and then I did okay for the rest of the day. whether I was fishing Frank's track and somebody was at Liberty or they were at the head of the channel, everyone did well that day. It was all in the same time period, and it could have been anywhere on the Delta. I think it wasn't me. Maybe it was me having the perseverance to just keep fishing and fishing. You're stubborn, but everyone else that did the same thing caught that. And when you talk about the fish that wants to come up, and there are fish that I definitely believe when they're ready to bite, that 15-pounder, you put the bait in there, that's a fish that catches himself. Before and after that, you have to work and make those fish bite. Mm-hmm. That fish, when you get that 15-pounder, yeah, you may have a lot going for you, and you got to be ready to do it. Like you say, you got to have your shoes tied. So many people, and you've went through this guiding. I remember when I was guiding that I would get to an area where I felt the fishing was going to be really good. Okay, let's have that set up. We got the knots. We've got everything set up. And posture to me was so important, because get ready. No, don't stand there because you've got nowhere to swing that fish. I'm going to be standing behind you now. When you get that bite, I want you to be ready to feel like you're not going to hit the trolling motor, you're not going to hit a camera, you're not going to hit the side of the boat. Just be ready. And they were always amazed at how I didn't know that fish was there. I knew that we had a high probability, and when it got there, the person, I wanted him to be ready. But that kind of reinforces when you throw out, and you had a sixth sense out here. You could call your fish. Maybe you can't, but in my mind, that's the way you used to fish out here, and that's how you had to fish to win all those tournaments. But you had 100%, everything ready to go, and you didn't maybe cast out and go, well, I just slapped my trolling motor. I popped something off. When that fish was ready to go, you caught it 90% of the time. The average person may catch that fish 50% of the time. You just dropped off 50% of your wins.
That's right. That's
so
right.
It's
the mechanical end of this game. I talk about a lot. I used to talk about it a lot in my seminars. Derek Jeter, Game 7 of the World Series. Runners, bases are loaded. There's 2 outs. And whoever's at the plate, Mark McGuire's at the plate, who knows? And he gets just a little candy cane ball just hit right to him. If his footwork isn't right, just settle down, bend over, gather, step, throw across his body. Everything's perfect. They turn the double play. They get out. They get the trophy. If he hasn't been working on his mechanics, maybe he stumbles, opens that foot up too much, and he throws it to the right fielder. He throws it. The first baseman's doing this right here. The ball ends up, 2 runners score. They lose the World Series. Being prepared for the moment, it's the mechanical end of this thing too. When I set the hook and I hit my trolling motor, it's because I got bit right there, and it's just complete. Yeah. I wasn't prepared for that, which is, I hate to even say that I wasn't prepared for that bite. But if I hit my trolling motor, oh, geez, I missed her, hit the, God, I hope I didn't break my rod. I always, and my clients, I always wanted them to be as mechanically perfect as we could possibly get them. When we get bit, we are going to try to knock our hat off. I drilled that in their heads. When you get bit, I want you to knock your hat off. I don't want this Olay stuff. We're not in Spain. We're not doing bullfighting stuff. Olay! We're not doing that. Because, guy, you get that rod behind. If your shoulders are like this, and that, I don't care if your personal best 4 pounds, you're never going to catch that 4-pounder. You get 10 bites from 4-pounders and your rod's like this right here, you might get your hands on one of them. Maybe. If you're squared up to that fish and you do this and you get bit 10 times by 4-pound fish, you're going to get your hands on probably 7 of them. The big difference just in the mechanics of it. And so I always try to knock your hat off. Oh, dude, I'll get the next one. I'll get the next. And we're at that water's now high velocity coming in. There ain't going to be a next one until 24 hours, actually 23 hours from now is when your next opportunity. This thing's done. It's over.
So, Bobby, we've covered probably 1/100th of what we could talk about. We're going to have to wrap this thing up, okay. And I think it's
people still
attention to detail and being prepared. That's winning bass fishing. It's winning. It's winning the NFL championship. It's winning life. it's winning, period. Just attention to detail and being ready.
You got to be prepared for the moment. With just be prepared for the moment. Make sure your shoes are tied. Make sure you look good. Make sure your shoes are right. Make sure your head's right. Faith, family, fishing, and your head will be right. And mechanics will fall into place, and you'll have fill up your spiritual live well before you try to fill up your live well in your bass boat.
Words of wisdom. Thanks, Bob. I'm
buddy.
glad I got to talk to you.
It's good time,
it's always fun. And like I said, people say, well, you're going to talk to Bobby, man. How are you going to prepare? How are you going to... So I'm going to say, hi, Bobby. What do you want to talk about? And I could have just basically walked away.
There's so much. This place is so complex. I mean, bass fishing. We didn't even get to talk about all the other different types of styles and baits.
Well, I'll tell you what. Rob out at the Bass Hole is a big supporter of Snag Proof and Bobby Barrack and the eye rods. He's got them all. He'll have them all in there. And Rob and I will be talking about these, and we'll make sure they get in there. And especially when you guys get this. The kicker frog, the zoo kick, when it gets in.
If Rob doesn't have it, just go to BobbyBarrack.com. But check Rob first. If Rob doesn't have it, go to BobbyBarrack.com. All orders over $50, it's free shipping.
Oh, by the way, before we leave, Bobby is he's getting more and more involved in putting some videos out there, YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Let them know how they can watch these. And I've been telling everybody, if you're watching, there's a lot of good channels out there, but if you're going to watch 1 or 2, 3 channels, you got to watch Bobby. You've had a lot of really action videos. You're in a good spot down there, wherever in the hell Mod is. I knew a guy from Mod. He told me in Mod a 6-pack and a possum was considered a 7-course meal. I don't even know where in the hell that is.
That's good table fare right there, buddy. I don't do the 6-pack anymore. I used to be really good at that.
You still eat possum?
I used to be a professional at that.
Possum?
A possum, I'm still good with that. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it ain't been laying there too long, it's got potential.
But the bottom line is, the videos are great videos. He's not a YouTube guy. Bob's not a YouTube guy. Both Bob and I are not the guys that know how to catch the algorithm. But if you can find Bobby's videos, you're going to get some good action. You're going to get a lot of information, and they're just, one of the bass channels you should be watching. Let them know how to find those videos.
I guess it's Bobby Barrack on YouTube. Turning frogs into toads, T-Fit, turning frogs into toads. I don't know what my YouTube. I think that's my YouTube channel. Bobby Barrack, right? I think. I don't know.
I just Google up your name. You've got a lot of old videos here on the Delta.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you with Amber Russo.
Yes.
And those still, I'll watch them, and they are as relative now as they were. You were doing those 10, 15 years ago.
Absolutely. So that stuff doesn't change. The only thing that we don't talk about is what the tide's doing.
Yeah. And you would never talk.
I never wanted to give that guys that much of a head start, especially competitor. I won a lot of time. I made a lot of money in tournaments. I mean, I guided. That was my main source of income, and sponsor retainer fees and all that stuff. But I made a fair amount of money guiding. 113 tournaments, 11 boats, something. But I didn't want to make it that easy for my competition, so I never talked about it. But you know what? Whenever I did seminars, like if I was at the Cow Palace or if I was at the ISE show, and if I had that group of people out there, there's 300 people, 250, 300, whatever it is, I spilled my guts. But as soon as I climbed down for that thing, don't ask me what the tide was here. I got a tournament next week. I ain't talking. But when I'm up there on that tank talking, or it's bleh.
Okay, well,
that's what it is.
With that, when you come up or down over next year, we'll talk about we'll talk about good places to eat around here or something.
Heck yeah, we'll do all that.
All right,
whatever you want to do.
Thanks a lot, Bobby.
Okay, buddy.
Check this guy's videos out. You will not be disappointed. See you guys on the river. Good luck.